Bye, folks.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's board meeting. I do notice that one of our newest board members is here this evening. Chris Fadden is sitting in the audience, and he'll be joining us here at the table next month. So welcome, everyone. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item, recommended action, approve the following items which are included in the consent agenda. 4A minutes, 6B recognition of scholar athletes, and 6C special education. May I have a motion, please?
I will so move. I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, please vote.
There we go.
7 yes.
Our next item is a section for the good of the cause where we have the public may address the board. Is there anyone this evening here? Could you just step forward and give us your name, please?
Evening, thank you. I'm Favor Smith. I'm the supervisor from the town of Wilmington. I'm asked, appreciate it.
Excuse me, can I just read this brief statement before you, the policy that we read before people?
Oh, sure.
Okay. The Board of Education encourages public participation on school-related matters at the board meetings. To allow for public participation, a period not to exceed 30 minutes has been set aside at the beginning and end of the board meetings. As a general rule, public participation will be limited to 5 minutes total per speaker. Anyone who wants to speak should state their name and sign the sheet. Comments should be general in nature and should not involve concerns regarding a specific employee of the district, as the board has a separate protocol for these matters. This is a protection for school employees to assure their due process rights in a public forum. Individuals wishing to raise a specific concern should follow the regulations outlined in policy 1400. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I will not take the whole 30 minutes, but thank you for saying it's allotted. I'm here tonight because I would like to bring to the board's attention, a bit of a wrinkle with the Camp Placid program. For years, it was sort of understood that children from the Lake Placid Central School District who reside in Wilmington would be able to attend Camp Placid without much ado. They didn't look into it too carefully. They were happy to have the kids. They're all joining the camp program to, be with their friends from school for the camp season. This past year, without really giving us any kind of heads up, North Elba adopted a more strict policy about this. And so people from our town were trying to just reapply their kids into the camp program for the summer. And they were given sort of a terse dismissive email back saying you're not a resident of the town of North Elba, nor do you work in the town of North Elba. So that goes. A few of these people brought it to my attention. We have our own it's sort of a makeshift kind of summer youth program that we do to help out Wilmington's kids and parents who are finding it difficult sometimes to get the full coverage for a camp program somewhere else or what to do with their kids. So we do a very small one at our youth center. This year, when we heard that, I got in touch with North Elba and I got in touch with the school because it seems to me that there aren't that many kids in the district. Wilmington has, contributes some percentage of the total school population here. And to get sort of lawyerly about it and sticking to policies and sending out emails like that to parents, is, as I said, it was somewhat dismissive. I went and I talked to North Elba, and we will work out a deal this year whereby, the 4 kids that we may have going to the program, if there's a cost associated with it, I think our town board would help pick up that cost or make some sort of contribution. As a result of that discussion, they've started to let kids from Wilmington back into the program, although I'm not sure how many, and I know a couple have been waitlisted. So they lost their opportunity from the get-go. My concern for the community is Lake Placid. I worked for the Youth Commission in 1981, and it was at the Oval. The school participates often with the summer program. They've been using the horse show grounds for a few years, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will always be at the horse show grounds. They may build such a fabulous horse show facility that they don't want kids to be out there, or they've got it booked for other events and things like that. So the school's always been very generous and kept an eye on making sure these kids have someplace to go and providing some of its facilities. I'm hoping that the school will maybe adopt a policy or create sort of an arrangement or relationship whereby the rule would be anytime of school's facilities are being used, any child in the Lake Placid Central School District could join Camp Placid. How it gets worked out, what the costs are, we can share those kinds of things. But rather than, the risk of some other administration coming into North Alba and deciding, nope, we're not going to even agree with, or we're not going to renew the contract that we had with Wilmington to provide access that way. And because the school plays such a large part of this, it just seems to me that it would be a good thing going forward to help. That risk, it wasn't necessary. Somebody could have communicated that better with us. And our parents who got those emails weren't exactly happy about it. So that's my pitch. I think ultimately Lake Placid and Wilmington are kind of unique. Ausable Valley it's a regional school. So they have kids from parts of Keysville, Jumper J, they have Ausable Forks, they have parts of Black Brook. And so they don't quite have it. Wilmington is joined to Lake Placid, and there aren't any other places exactly. Raybrook, a little bit, but not much. And so that has been a problem or a feature of our relations as a school district for a long time. There's no blending. And so I know the board is mindful of this, and I'm just hoping that this is the type of thing that could be, it's a gesture towards the Wilmington parents that they don't have to go through this kind of hoop when their kids are trying to join a summer program up here with their friends from the school.
These 4 children, are they children in our district currently?
Mhm.
They are.
Yeah. No, we have an example of someone who has got grandkids coming up, and they're in the school tax district. That's not quite the same to us, but that's a space, and how many people they have signed up and what their program is like. But to me, it just seems like a rule ought to be, if there's a kid in the Lake Placid Central School District who happens to reside in Wilmington, it shouldn't be that hard for them to get into the summer program. And it never was. It just, they switched the rules. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Anything else? If not, moving on, the section information for the public.
I did not receive any emails.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's my internet is acting slow again.
I'll just walk right out.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think there's anything under information for the public, and my screen was frozen. So I'm going to move on to hopefully Dana's budget performance report.
Luckily, I'm not relying on the attachment in Board Docs to look at the document.
That's all right. It's covered.
Is that coming up for you?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so the first document there is the budget performance report as of June 12th. And when you take a kind of look there, you'll see that For the most part, we're down to about 14% remaining in the budget in terms of our expenses. Trending at this point. Yep, there it is. Look at it, you got it. You know, trending a little over 5% increase.
I'm even more in favor.
The public's approaching the minute.
I just,
Up here.
Sherman president.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen's got. You're rolling down, you're good.
That's right. So looking at right now, trending about 3%, higher than what we were last year at this time. So really nothing, you know, out of the ordinary when it comes down to our expenses. You'll see some considerable, you know, some differences in some areas, like in contractual and BOCES, as well as materials and supplies trending downwards, but equipment is way above, you know, almost 60% above where we, you know, spent last year. That's really attributed to the purchase of 2 vehicles. You know, we had purchased the Black Expedition, and then just recently we made the purchase for the driver ed vehicle for next year, which is all of that. On the revenue side, kind of the same thing. We're about 2.25% above our revenue from last year. That is trending, you know, pretty much where we, you know, it normally is. We have a difference right now of remaining in terms of what we budgeted and what we brought in, a little over $1.1 million is the difference, or about a little over 5% remaining in our revenue. There's always that trickling of revenue that comes in towards the in the summertime from the state. But also, if you notice there, one of our biggest you know, unused funds as of yet is the appropriated fund balance of $843,000. And I'll talk about that in a minute when we go on to the next documents. So all said, you know, we're trending pretty normally in terms of our budgets as we wind down the year. Questions on that first document? The next 2 documents, I've provided you guys with a way too early look at the end of the year expenses, trying to project out where we will be. Officially call it the unaudited look as our expenses versus revenue. And you'll see on the first document, you know, starting where our fund balance is over $5 million at the start of the school year. Our revenue as of June 12th, a little over $21 million. Our expenditures, a little over $19 million. And then you'll see an increase in encumbrances. So that $2.5 million, that's factoring in. We had a debt service payment made last week of a little over 1.2. And then we have a payroll going out on Friday of another 1.2. That's kind of like the balloon payments. Our 10-month staff, they have the option of going with a 21-month pay or a 26-month pay. And those that take the 26, the last paycheck, there's a balloon payment that they get their 5 additional checks all in one. Kind of carrying through the summer. So our last pay period is always much higher than typical. So factoring that in, you'll see that that increases our projected total expenditure to $21,887,000. Our budget is $22,400,000. So we're still under budgets. But when you look at the very bottom, you say, geez, that's showing that we're going to have $669,000 as a deficit. And based off of true revenue versus true expenditure. But I want to highlight the fact that what is not factored in that document is the use of the appropriated fund balance, which is budgeted, which is a source of revenue. So when you factor that in, we're actually projecting, you know, not having to use all of our budgeted fund balance to balance the budget, if you will. Not to mention, we have some additional expenditure changes that occur at the end of the year from federal monies that come in from our IDEA money as well as title funds. So that's 669 will actually trend down. So basically what I'm trying to highlight here is even though it shows a deficit, it really isn't. But we will be utilizing some of our fund balance that has been budgeted to balance the books, but not as much as what we budgeted, which is a good thing. You know, we're not going to spend as much of what we budgeted to cover all of our expenses. The second document kind of breaks down, again, same thing, looks at our current fund balance, adding in the $1 million for the capital reserve, also our encumbrances. So really what this is showing is an early projection as to where our fund balance will be at the end of this year, which will go from a little over 5 million down to 3.4 million, or about 15%, less under 16% of our budgets, which 4% is the mark according to the state, which is quite low in comparison to other state municipalities. But what this shows you is we are trending. That number is trending downward as we have built in and projected. The goal is to spend down our fund balance over the next couple of years to get it in line with what's been made. Questions on this early look as to our projection?
We can move on to the treasurer's report, please.
Sure. Had one last month for the end of April. This is the end of May, just like that. We cover a month in a week. Nothing really, is standing out here that's unusual. Again, at this time of year, cash receipts are low, cash expenditures are high, but that's the way it trends for us at this time of year. All of our revenue comes in beginning, most of our revenue comes in the beginning of the year. We're still sitting at a little over $13 million in the various reserve accounts, generating the nice revenue. Have about $617,000 in outstanding checks as when this was done. But so if you look at it, with the outstanding checks, we're still sitting at about $12.4 million sitting in our various accounts. But as you can tell, by the end of June, that will go down even further to under 10 million off of everything that we are extending. So again, our bank account looks good and healthy to get us through the next few months before tax season begins in September. Yay. Questions on the treasury?
Thanks, Dana. Moving on to Tim and the superintendent's report, please.
So we are in the busy season of the busy season right now, which is great. So my report will be sporadic, as my days have been in attending all of these great things that are celebrating our students over the last week and a half. So in no particular order, yesterday was the elementary field day. I was at the end of Station Street by Lisa G's and could hear the kids.
Oh, wow.
So that will tell you everything you need to know. And it was the sound of laughter. So it was a wonderful day. Anecdotally, the day was organized where students would have the ability to ride their bike to school or have a bike provided for them from High Peak Cyclery. So that was arranged through community schools. So we had 96 students ride bikes to school or have them brought. And upon arrival, then we had two parents, Nate Haymaker and Nate Smith, who tuned up all 96 bicycles over the course of the entire day. Nate is the spouse of Connie Haymaker, our guidance counselor, and she had to bring multiple lengths of chain over the course of the day in order to accommodate this, which was awesome. So that was one station while the students were inside, but there was an entire obstacle course that High Peaks had put together with cones and chalk. My son was one of the many participants who just thought it was fantastic. Bearing in mind that an additional station was the ice cream truck, Mr. Dingaling rolling up, and ice cream administered by the Lake Placid Police Department. So you can just picture the blue goo smiles of kids on bicycles ripping through that course. That was the day. It was fantastic. So thank you to our Lake Placid Police Department partners and friends. The day also incorporated some team building stations, some relay races and water games. The whole event was actually organized this year by Mackenzie Patinella, who is our illustrious PE teacher at the elementary school, with support from Mr. Clark as well. So it was a great day. And after yesterday, the students at the elementary school rolled into a whole different kind of celebration today. Just skipping through my report, just to be chronological a bit. Today is book shopping day at the elementary school, which I also was pleased to attend. So the gym is taken over with tables full of books. Over $6,000 was donated from the Educational Opportunity Fund, which was spent exclusively locally at the Bookstore Plus. And all of the books that were furnished for the students were free. So the students go and can pick 5 brand new books from the tables. And then on the floor, there are donated books from community members, and they can pick 5 donated books. So students walked out with a bag, which they had decorated earlier in the week, with 10 books in them. It's a special day. It is super infectious. Laura Coffin and Kat Haney, our librarian and reading specialist, they pour their heart and soul into this, and the kids love it. It was so fun to see and to help the kids get their books today, which was just great. So we're promoting a love of learning on days like that. So very, very cool. And I think the respite after ice cream, bike, regalia yesterday was a smart move for today. Shifting to the middle high school, there's been a lot of different celebrations and more to come. Last week we had the 8th grade celebration, which is the moving up day. So that was great. Our students, 8th grade class, performed a musical selection. Deanna from Billy Joel. It sounded awesome. They did a great job. And then they were called up to receive their certificates commemorating becoming upcoming freshmen. In the slideshow, they recognized an adult who made a meaningful impact in their life, and they shared a favorite memory from the year. Some takeaways from that: a lot of those favorite adults were parents, of course, but a lot of teachers. So that was heartening to see the connection, and of course the teachers were there to see that. So it was great. But the predominant unforgettable moment, almost across the board, was the DC trip. Those kids, they really that experience coalesces them in a pretty profound way. So that was great. And thanks to Colleen Locke and Ryan St. Louis for being in attendance and representing the board at the event. So it was a nice time. Last week, we also held our board orientation for our new members. So just in preparation for our upcoming organizational meeting. So thank you to Dana, Karen, and Colleen Locke for assisting with that process, and for our incoming board members for attending. So we look forward to welcoming them on July 14th. And moving on, I believe earlier in the week, my days are getting merged here. I'm in the eye of the tornado, but it's all gravy. So I attended the Tablelands Farm presentation at Heaven Hill Farm, which was outstanding. So our AP environmental students, environmental science students, presented their soil management plan for the Eline Foundation. And they gave a pretty compelling vision of regenerating Tablelands Farm into an agricultural educational experience for our community. So the presentation, they first talked about a soil health analysis that they did. So they went and got different soil samples, had it sent to a lab, and identified that essentially the nutrient levels were pretty poor and deficient, except for they were rather high in phosphorus, which they wanted to account for. So based on their desire to make the land more able to grow, the different crops that they're recommending, they proposed a few different solutions for this. The first is no-till farming. So they talked about the importance of having those sage grasses maintain the integrity of the soil. They talked about having goats, 2 different breeds of goats, help with land management and help to fertilize the ground. And they also talked about incorporating wool pellets to improve the soil quality. And they went into lengthy discussion about what those were and how they're beneficial. Other students talked about the plan to grow food, which would be used at the school. Food would be done at the greenhouse at the Eline lab, which would also incorporate an outdoor garden and an apple orchard, one for educational purposes and one for agro-tourism purposes. So very cool direction there. And then another theme throughout their presentation was to create nature centers and learning centers for students. Included in those ideas was to have a tree house to allow students to, tour the grounds, but have a dry place to go in and take a respite. They talked about some of the more boring details of managing a public facility, like guidance pertaining to accessibility, trail design, APA standards, ADA compliance, pest control. They really thought of it all. It was almost 100 slides that they presented over the course of an hour. I left feeling inspired for the future of this community and of the work that the kids did. So thanks to those students, and thanks to Don Mellor for representing the board as well.
Yeah, I'd like to add, kids were dazzling. Kids were blew me away. Teenagers standing in front of the Elon board were professional. They weren't kids. They were on game, and there's nothing better than seeing young people become adults right in front of us.
It's wonderful.
It's great.
Last night was our senior award ceremony. So through the generosity of our community and our forebears, over $136,000 was distributed to our outgoing senior class through scholarships, which was amazing. The criteria for those scholarships really just covered a whole bunch of different qualities, from academics and citizenship, leadership, community service, and career goals. So thank you so much to all of our incredible donors for their support. Also, this event was presided over by Miss Lindsay and Miss Haymaker, who did a wonderful job, and it was organized by Mrs. Amanda Cash, who is a machine in her proficiency. So thanks to all of them. And thanks to Colleen Luck for attending and representing the board last night.
It was pretty.
And my final bit of my report, this is our final board meeting of the 2024-2025 school year. So as we prepare for a new year in July, we have 2 new board members that we'll be welcoming. And prior to that, I would like to acknowledge the service of our 2 outgoing board members, Colleen Skufka and Ron Briggs. Over the past 3 years, Ron and Colleen have helped shape a vision for our district and our community. They brought their experiences and passion to the forefront of every decision. In addition to the collective goals of the board, Ron, your efforts in promoting civic engagement and literacy shifts based on the science of reading have had a real and direct impact on our kids. Additionally, your insights as an attorney and longstanding resident of Lake Placid have been invaluable to the board, certainly to me personally. Thank you for your service. Colleen, your efforts in promoting childcare initiatives in the community and ensuring equitable services and opportunities for every student have had a direct and positive impact. Also, your insights as a retired educator from the district and a longstanding resident of Wilmington have been invaluable to the board and to me personally. Thank you. So in recognition of your service to the district, I'm pleased to present each of you with a token of our appreciation from the district. We have a framed picture of the middle high school, which was created by our students in alignment with alumnus Cam Cassidy. The words on the picture denote "Midst the Mountains Blue," which, if you're familiar with our alma mater, it's in there. So I hope that it reminds you of your time in the district and of the many graduation ceremonies we've spent together amidst the mountains blue. And nothing but love and gratitude to you both.
Thank you very much.
Shake. I only get to do a few of these.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Off to Disney World.
And let it be an omen for next Friday.
Yeah,
Let
right.
it not be gray skies.
Yeah. Let's see, moving on for information of the board, for the board, there's a couple of items under our executive content. And you had a moment to look at those, including our meeting dates coming up for 2025-2026 year. So if you have a moment, take a peek at those. This is the Board of Education. We're under consent. Moving on to personnel. Recommended action, approve the following items which are included in the consent agenda. 5B, management confidential salaries, 2025, 2026. 5C, approval of management confidential contract. 5D, approval of management confidential contract. 5E, approval of agreement. 5F, CSEA abolishment of positions. 5G, CSEA cook appointment. 5H, CSEA cook appointment, and 5I, approval of agreement. May I have a motion, please?
Make motion. Sorry, Colin, you can have, oh, you, last one.
Ryan, you're gonna second it?
Sure.
Any discussion on any of those? If not, please vote.
Seven, yes.
Moving into additional action items. The first is donation acceptance. Recommended action, whereas Lake Placid Central School Board of Education Policy 6255, donations, gifts, and grants to the district allows for the superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having a value of less than $1,500. Whereas monies have been granted as follows. Adirondack Foundation in the total amount of $46,000 as follows. Gerald K. Douglas Scholarship Fund, $3,000. Lake Placid Education Foundation Fund, $20,000. Nash Williams Founding Family Scholarship, $23,000. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with policy 6255, the Board of Education hereby accepts the checks from the Adirondack Foundation for the scholarships referenced above in the total amount of $46,000. May I have a motion, please?
Oh, seconds.
Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Seven, yes.
7B and 7C are under consent, but I would like to read the recognition statement of our scholar athletes.
I have it in paper form if you.
Oh, you do, because now it's decided to act slow. Just that you wanted it. Recognition of scholar athletes. Whereas the New York State Public High School Athletic Association recognizes individual athletes and high school athletic teams for outstanding performance, both academically and athletically, by awarding designation as scholar athletes and scholar athlete teams, respectively. And whereas Lake Placid High School athletic teams have received scholar athlete team awards and athletes have been designated as scholar athletes, meaning that the teams and individual students, respectively, have excelled both on the field and in the classroom. And whereas the Board of Education of the Lake Placid Central School District is proud of the accomplishments of these Lake Placid High School athletic teams and students and wishes to recognize their academic and athletic accomplishments. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby expresses its congratulations to the following Lake Placid High School athletic teams, including the individual team members and coaches for being recipients of the Scholar Athlete Team Awards. Boys track and field, girls track and field, girls softball, boys tennis, and varsity lacrosse. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby expresses its congratulations to the Lake Placid High School student athletes for meeting the rigorous standards established to achieve scholar athlete status. This doesn't have to have a vote, but I would like to add that apparently 75% of the team has to have a GPA of 90 or higher in order to achieve this. So it's really a wonderful tribute to these students. And I also just want to take a moment to thank the coaches, because I can tell you that probably quite a few of the coaches are reminding the students, much as a parent would, did you get your homework done? Did you study for that test to keep their grades up? And finally, also to Jeff Nemec, our athletic director, who oversees all of this and, you know, also tries to keep the student athletes on point. One more little thing, I did have the privilege, I missed the modified one, but I did go to the JV varsity award night for sports. It was a great evening. It was really well attended with all the student athletes there. They did just an amazing job. It was Jeff Nemec, it was Patty Mayerberry and Amanda Cash that organized it. And it was really a special evening to see these athletes come together from a variety of different teams, not just these. So anyway, great job to all of our student athletes. Now, if the internet is working, our second session of the public may address the board. If anybody has anything additional? Nothing. Linking goals with agenda items, asking the board members to give some ideas.
Students first and foremost for all the wonderful activities at the elementary school yesterday.
Doug, do you have anything?
All the financial reports from Dana.
Great. Any other ones? Well, anybody remembers any additional, we can always get a hold of Karen. Leave time. Then we move into the adjournment phase. Our next meeting date and location will be the board organizational meeting on July 14th, where our two new board members will come on and we'll kick off the next year.
I have a question. How extensive is the Town of North Ellis summer program? Does it use our facilities?
This year, there's a considerable reliance. They'll be located at the middle high school, the gym, cafeteria. We also provide food through the summer food program. And when there are field trips other than the beach, then we provide transportation.
So we would have, and be in a good position to try to influence a policy which would include the kids from Wilmington.
We're in a great
Yes.
position to influence a
I believe
policy.
they call that leverage in the business.
That's what I call it, yes. Like it's,
We've excluded the kids from.
That never,
Well,
never.
That's
was.
absolutely,
well,
Insane.
we heard something different
I apologize.
tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's
Sorry.
just-
So that should be a policy as well, I think, going forward.
Yeah.
That should never happen.
absolutely.
There's
Appreciate
much sense for that.
Yes, I agree.
That's why my head's been a little red the whole meeting.
Okay, any old agenda topics? New agenda topics?
This is a solitary question, and I certainly don't want Tim to prepare a PowerPoint for this. And it's not in response to anything, it's just a question about where we get our textbooks, who chooses them, do the teachers have a say, is it done in the district, is it done by the state?
So we do have, I can answer it now if it's okay. So we do have a textbook selection policy and regulation in our policies, and I'll send it to you, but I think the last time we did this at the middle high school level was our social studies. Maybe, Dana, does that sound about right?
Yeah, we did some chemistry books this year, but I think it was probably just buying already what we already had, with additional.
But that textbook selection process, basically, the different departments, they vet a variety of textbooks, and then they make their recommendations and they share the ones that they reviewed, and then they share why they indicated the one that they wanted. Then it goes to the high school principal, then it goes to me for my review, and then it goes to the board for approval.
So it doesn't jump up to the state.
No, the state insists on standards, and then the textbook companies have to put forth a product that complies with those standards, otherwise they're not marketable for districts. But they do it state to state, and so different states have different standards, and sometimes in an effort to be broadly appealing to states, it can alienate other states who
That's
have
my-
standards
that's
that are
my-
different.
That's my question.
Yes, but the McGraw Hills of the world, sometimes they used to really push towards Texas standards.
Yeah.
And now there are additions that are more attuned to New York State specifically. It's a good question.
And nationally, it's been brought up quite a bit lately, the school boards.
Absolutely,
With the school board being the final stamp.
absolutely. Yeah, I make recommendations based on that process, and ultimately the board puts forth the educational product for the kids.
All right, if there's no other new agenda topics, I may we'll adjourn our meeting. I have a motion for adjourning the meeting at 6:43.
43.
5:43.
Yeah.
No, I'm staring at the 6. And I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
another year.
5:43.
There you go.
I'll second.
I'll second it, please.
You spell it or say it?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
So, Dana. Idea is how to spend down that fund balance.
Yeah.
You want, do you know what the town is doing? Reasons.
I'm done.
Me too.
Really?
Op-ed.